Welcome to the weekly Bitcoin.com news show. My name is Corbin Fraser. Today is Friday, September 11th, 2020, and we've got more Bitcoin news for you today, including criminals prefer cash for money laundering. Jim Rogers predicts the end of dollar dominance as US-China tensions escalate. Bitcoin beats gold in every single measure, says macro strategist Raoul. $700 million worth of synthetic Bitcoin is circulating on the Ethereum blockchain. And Sushiswap Founder is called out by crypto community for exit scamming, and it actually is getting a second chance. First off, we've got criminals preferring cash for money laundering. So despite perception that crypto is preferred for money laundering, a new report by SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, says cryptocurrency is seldom used for illegal activities compared to other traditional methods. Identified cases of laundering through cryptocurrency remain relatively small, SWIFT noted, in the report titled Follow the Money published this last week. The authors observed that privacy-centered digital assets like Monero or Zcash could boost the appeal of cryptocurrency for nefarious purposes. I do actually find this story quite entertaining because so often the cryptocurrency users and people involved in this space hear from people in the traditional finance space that this crypto stuff, I don't know about it. It seems like it's only used by criminals and drug dealers and darknet, and it's awful. Why would you put your trust in this system that allows people to use their money any way they want? And it's like, well, that's the point. You get to use the money any way you want, you crazies. So, it is kind of an interesting observation. I'm sure that we will see criminals using cryptocurrency for money laundering. The fact is, cryptocurrencies that do have privacy built right in are just very easy to use and very useful. Whether you're using them just to stay anonymous in terms of buying and selling any goods online, or if you're doing, something nefarious like running some sort of sweet drug operation or something cool like that. Don't do drugs, kids. Next story, Jim Rogers predicts end of dollar dominance. Rogers shared his view in an interview stating the US is now the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, and it's getting higher and higher every day. According to Rogers, the dollar has potential to still show strength next year once the current turmoil in the US ends. Rogers further warned China could potentially sell all of its US bonds in an extreme case like a military conflict, emphasizing that China reducing American debt will put pressure on US interest rates. From the Chinese standpoint, the investor said it's a smart economic and investment move that would further strengthen the Chinese yuan, which he noted has already been happening now for several weeks. Let us know in the comments, is China gonna run for the full gambit? Is US dollar gonna drop in dominance? Let us know in the comments. We're curious to hear what you think. Personally, it seems like China's really making an effort for it. And the fact that the private banks are running the Federal Reserve and printing money and pumping inflation and talking about pumping it even more really makes me kind of wonder maybe they're gonna be in for a little bit of a rude awakening with Chinese dollars coming in, or Chinese yuan, sorry. Next up, we've got Bitcoin beats gold on every single measure, says macro strategist Raoul. So the well-known macro strategist with 250,000 Twitter followers revealed in a tweet last week that he owns more BTC than gold and believes it completely outperforms gold in every single way. He explained that gold was used as collateral, but its role has since diminished as central banks begin to choose bonds instead. Something that has a finite fixed supply and is incredibly secure has true value, Powell emphasized. The fact that Bitcoin is divisible, portable, transferable, and exchangeable makes it have potentially more value than any other store of wealth or any other form of money. To that, I do have to wonder, is Raoul talking about Bitcoin, the one that often has very high fees, or is he talking about Ethereum as well, which has also been having some high fees, or is he talking about Bitcoin Cash, which has the low fees and actually is divisible, portable, transferable, and exchangeable? To me, those features of hard money are so valuable. But the fact of the matter is, right now, BTC costs a lot to send, and it's very inconvenient if you're onboarding people for small value. For large value, it's maybe okay, a little bit of a fee here and there. People are just used to paying that if they get that, maybe the benefit of hard money. But if we were comparing it to gold, this is a bit like having a brick of gold, and anytime you move the gold, a chunk of it falls off and you don't get it anymore. And the person that you're sending it to doesn't get it. It just goes back into the gold ecosystem. And that's kind of what's happening with BTC. So to me, it doesn't really seem super portable, transferable, and exchangeable, even though, yeah, sure it is, and it's decentralized, but there is some caveats there. I would encourage Raoul Paul, if you're ever listening, go check out Bitcoin Cash, try some of the low-fee cryptocurrencies, because I think there is an opportunity for some of these other cryptocurrencies to really kind of give BTC a run for the money as it continues to focus more and more on second layer solutions such as Lightning. The fact is, on-chain scaling is possible, on-chain scaling is easy, on-chain scaling is probably the best path forward in my personal opinion, but obviously use whatever is most useful. And if paying high fees to move money around is cool and is something that you enjoy, obviously maybe stick to BTC and maybe try out Ethereum, where fees are skyrocketing thanks to the DeFi world. Next up, we've got $700 million worth of synthetic Bitcoin circulating on the Ethereum blockchain. According to on-chain data, there's now almost 70k synthetic Bitcoins tokens circulating on the Ethereum blockchain. So despite the massive growth and popularity, Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin detailed that he has concerns about synthetic Bitcoin projects. I continue to be worried about the fact that these wrapped BTC bridges are trusted, Buterin wrote on August 16th. Synthetic cryptocurrency assets allow people to have exposure to other assets without holding the underlying asset. These could be anything such as stocks, gold, silver, Japanese yen, but it allows them to get exposure to these other investments without needing to leave the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So I totally agree with Vitalik here. In essence, anytime you're owning wrapped BTC or Ren BTC or any other kind of wrapped stock or any other kind of asset that's wrapped in an Ethereum token, you're still trusting that whoever holds that BTC that's supposed to be like one-to-one collateralized in the same way that USDT or Tether is supposed to be $1 US dollar to one USDT. You have this trust in this party, and it's not locked up in smart contracts, and it's just correct me if I'm wrong if there's any difference between Ren BTC and WBTC, but as far as I know, they both do have some sort of trusted party at the end of them. So you're always at risk if that party containing that holds that BTC, the underlying asset, takes a walk and runs with all the BTC, then your token's valueless at that point. So keep that in mind anytime you're using the wrapped BTC or wrapped assets. Next up, we've got kind of an interesting story. Sushiswap founder sells his tokens, the price tanks, and there's a lease for new life. So the anonymous founder of Sushiswap reportedly converted all of his Sushi tokens to Ethereum on September 5th, sending the price tumbling from $10 down to about $2.30. Chef Nomi, the self-professed creator of Sushiswap, has denied the allegations that he's exit scamming, tweeting, "People asked if I exit scammed. I did not. I am still here. I will continue to participate in the discussion. I will help with the technical part. I will help ensure we have a successful migration." The Sushiswap creator compared his actions to Charlie Lee, creator of Litecoin, otherwise known as LTC ticker, and stated Litecoin had no problem surviving. And he's referring to Charlie, who is often quoted as being the creator of a cryptocurrency who sold the top, the price dumped, and Litecoin still sticks around, in the top 10 usually. But yeah, it really dropped a lot of trust in the users of Litecoin. A lot of people felt like Charlie kind of left them holding the metaphorical bags. So the token was listed on Binance September 1st, and according to reports, the DeFi liquidity provision platform had managed to have funds worth $1.2 billion under lock. So just an update on this. This is like, the DeFi space moves ridiculously fast. Like, this whole story took place in the course of like maybe 3 or 4 days. And just recently, there's been some extensions to the story now, which I'm just amending on the fly just because I've been following this one, because I did actually own a little bit of Sushi. Sushi was pretty cool for a few days. So Sam Bankman-Fried, otherwise known as SBF Almeida on Twitter, he's the CEO of FTX, great exchange, go check that one out. He's also the creator of Serum, and basically known within the crypto sphere as kind of like this crypto DeFi Chad. And he's basically taken over the Sushi project. After Sushiswap kind of was getting a lot of flack, and after Chef Nomi was just getting all the heat, Sam stepped up and said like he'd be willing to take over the project. Chef Nomi signed over the keys. Sam's in the process, or this may already be complete at this point by the time the video's up. They're basically voting in people to join the multi-sig to make sure that the keys behind this project are protected. and that this isn't a true exit scam. This is basically what they're saying is that Chef Nomi, the creator, he took the development fund and just converted it before the price dropped, and also some would argue that he created the price drop. So yeah, kind of interesting developments, but ultimately what's happened is because Sam, who's by the way just a brilliant young mind in crypto, he's taken over this project and has built up a lot of trust and a lot of goodwill within the DeFi space, that people are actually saying like Sushi might have another chance here in terms of competing with Uniswap. So for those who haven't been following, Sushi was basically this competition swap tool that allows users to do inter-token swaps. So Uniswap at the time didn't, or still I believe doesn't, have a reward token. They basically take some fees, but the idea was that people wanted a similar functionality, but the users wanted to be able to get a cut of the fees by owning a token. And that's basically what Sushi was and is now. I believe Sam, with the help of some of the others in the Sushi community, have completed all the migrations. There was a bunch of liquidity that was all on Uniswap, and it's all migrated over now to the Sushi pool, so now they're totally separate. So it's kind of interesting. This whole DeFi space is moving really, really quickly, and it's really hard to keep up. But if you haven't done any homework yet on how yield farming works and how liquidity pools work and how Uniswap versus Sushi works, there's a ton of reading to do on it. But this is really kind of an interesting kind of competing product that's really just taken off over the last week or two, and then it's just grown and exploded in price, and then all this interest was into it, and then there was all these other food tokens that started showing up that were kind of a little bit shady, but Sushi was kind of leading the pack, and now Sushi got into a little bit of hairy problem. If we're giving a play-by-play, they drop the puck, and then Chef Nomi, don't do that. Don't sell the fund at the top. That's a Gomer move. But you handed over the keys, so I got to give the kid credit for that. And Sam's coming in, he's the ace up the sleeve, and he's going to take this puck right to the net, and I think he's going to maybe score. So we're going to see what happens over the next little while. You can follow along, news.bitcoin.com. It's going to be fun. DeFi moves very fast, so obviously stay tuned and subscribe. And that is all we've got today. No comments, leave some below. We'd love to read some more. I'm in my hockey voice right now, I don't know why, but we're going to roll with it all the way to the end. So subscribe, do all the other YouTube stuff that people do, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.